All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to True Crime Loser. I hope you're doing well this morning. So, today I'm going to talk about the Barnetts. And man, is this one horrifying. So, the Barnetts right now are being charged with neglect of a dependent and are facing 6 years in prison. And this whole nightmare started in 2010 when they wanted to adopt. Kristen and Michael had 3 kids of their own. Kristen, because of health problems, couldn't have any more kids. They wanted a big family. They felt they were in a fortunate time and wanted to help somebody, maybe even do like a special needs type kid. And so they're working with this adoption agency to maybe get a girl from Haiti. And then it fell through because of an earthquake or something. And then, so they're kind of back to the adoption drawing board, like, oh, we want to do this. And then out of the blue, a strange adoption company from Florida called. And man, do I bet they wish they would have just hung up on them. So this Florida adoption company was like, hey, Barnetts, how are you? You don't know us, but we know you. We've learned all about you, and we think we have the perfect kid for you. And this kid was recently put up for adoption by another family for unknown reasons, and she has a rare form of dwarfism and can barely walk, and she needs parents, and we think shit's perfect. But one little thing, you only get 24 hours to decide. You only get a meter for 5 minutes. You get one little doctor's summary from 2 years ago. And if you don't take her, we're sending her to brutal, horrible, sad foster care forever. And so the Barnetts, in the height of this, like, we want to help somebody, didn't think to themselves, is this weird that some Florida company acts like they know us and there's 24 hours and they're not doing background checks and they're just like, she's perfect, take her, please. They didn't think of any of that. They were just like, okay, our home is her home. And they met with her and for 5 minutes, and she came in and said, Mommy and Daddy. Which, again, looking back, a 6-year-old girl probably isn't going to run in a room and immediately be like, Mommy, I love you. It's going to be, shy and, hey, come here. Here's a popsicle. How are you? You want to play? But she came in, Mommy and Daddy, and then they like whisked her off. And they were like, okay, yeah, she's got this dwarfism. It's a sad case. We're feeling fortunate. We're in. And, immediately things just got weird. So one of the first things on like the first night, or around one of the first nights, Michael is in the other room and he hears his wife Kristen do a blood-curdling scream from the bathroom, screaming, Michael, get in here, Michael. And he goes in and she's white as a ghost. And she goes, Michael, look. And Michael looks, and this person in the bathtub, Natalia was her name. They adopted Natalia from the mysterious Florida adoption agency. So he looks in the tub, and what's supposed to be a 6-year-old girl is Natalia sitting in there with full bush. Just a big old adult woman bush. And they were just like, what is this? And slowly things start happening where it's just obvious that she's not a 6-year-old girl. This is an adult woman. And can you imagine? I just picture them like at the adoption agency holding a teddy bear with a bow on it, like just wholesome and smiling, ready to accept this young, sweet 6-year-old girl into their home, and out walks just a violent adult midget being like, hey, Ma, what's for dinner? And so that she's in the bathtub with full bush, and they're just like, all right, that's something. That they didn't tell us that. And other things started coming out is like she had a full, like, good vocabulary. She was drawn to, she didn't like to play with toys. She turned them all down. They said that she was from Ukraine, and so they were like, let's bring someone from Ukraine over to talk to her and make her feel like she's, home. And they brought someone from Ukraine over, and they started talking to her in Ukrainian, or I think it's Ukrainian, right? Russian, Ukrainian, yeah. And Natalia was just like, I don't know, just got really mad, like, how dare you, and just like ran off. And then really early on too, she was pretending like she couldn't walk. They were carrying her everywhere, and then they were at the beach, and she said to Michael, like, I want to go get in the water. And Michael was like, well, hold on a second. I'll take you in a minute. And she was just like, bah! And got up and like ran into the ocean. And again, I bet they would have just left her in the ocean. And so it slowly comes out that it's like, all right, there's no way that this is a 6-year-old. But they still treated her like their own. And then it started to get strangely violent, where they found knives in her room. And Michael woke up one night with her standing over him with a knife with a blank stare, and he was like, what are you doing? And she goes, I was gonna kill you. He's just like, all right, well, I guess thanks for being honest. And she pushed Christine at one point, like, into an electric fence. Christine caught her putting bleach in her coffee. And again, she was like, Natalia, what are you doing? You're pouring bleach in my coffee? And Natalia, just with a blank stare, just goes, I was trying to kill you. And then they have 3 boys, who one of them is a like an autistic physics prodigy, and was on 60 Minutes, like his own thing on 60 Minutes. So they got their own 3 boys, and she starts to try to harm the boys too. Like, the youngest boy loved cows, and he had this cow that he loved, and she threw the cow into the street hoping that he would go after it. And again, they were like, Natalia, what's going on? And she was like, I am trying to kill the boys. And apparently this is already a horror movie. Almost exactly, called The Orphan. I almost watched it last night, but I got tired. But it could almost just as easily just be a really dark comedy, where it's like, Michael, look, and he looks in the bathtub, and she's just sitting there with a bush, like, rub-a-dub-dub, daddy-o. And it's like, this summer, Natalie is with the Barnetts, and she just like has a knife, like, ah! What's for dinner, Ma? And so as this goes, and I would have just booted this little troll out the window long before. They were like, they were like, it's fine. What if she's 16 or something? But it progressed, and so, she's got raging pubes, and she's got an adult personality, and they find bloody clothes in the trash can where she's like obviously having her period, and then just trying to hide it and throwing the clothes away. And so this was in 2010, and they're still trying to be good parents for this adult person for 2 years. And then in 2012, it started getting really bad. She was smearing blood on the walls. I mean, you can't make this up. Just a psychotic adult dwarf that just has knives and mushing blood on the mirror. And so they get her into a mental hospital. She's admitted into a mental hospital sometime in 2012, and she talks to a whole mess of doctors. and admits to at least one of them that she's over 18. And then also during this time, she meets with doctors, and because of her dwarfism, dwarfness, or I don't know, because she has this rare dwarf thing, no one can really tell how old she is. Usually they can like measure your bones or something, but they can't with her. And but a doctor said her sexual organs were adult. A dentist said that her teeth were definitely in the adult stages. And so that she could be treated as an adult and take over her mental health treatment on her own and as an adult, part of this time was meeting with doctors and having doctors sign off on, her birth certificate from Ukraine is not accurate. And we don't really know how old this little thing is, but she's definitely not, a child. And so she's in this mental institution, and she even said, as she got discharged at some point, that she doesn't want anything to do with the Barnetts anymore, but they were like, no, we'll help you. And so she gets out of the state hospital at some point, had told doctors. Oh yeah, they had gone to court too, and Natalia had a lawyer, and there was, everybody was involved, and a judge accepted them changing her age legally, I think to either 18 or 22 or to an adult, like I said, so she could take over her mental health treatment on her own. Okay. So then she gets out of the mental hospital, and the Barnetts get her an apartment, and they pay it off for a year. They pay her rent for a year. They get her an apartment. They get her on Social Security income. They get her on food stamps. They get her a home health aide, and they live 5 minutes away. Okay, so she's pretty set up as far as tricking someone and being like, "Hey, I'm a kid. I got a bush, but Dad." So even after going through all that with the knives, throwing the cow in the street, this couple is still helping her. And they're living 5 minutes away, and she starts even like trying to get her GED at this time. And the autistic physics son, the physics genius, is studying and is like publishing papers and all this stuff, and he gets an offer to study in Canada, or I guess the best physics professor or whatever is in Canada. And so the Barnetts, also right about this time, Natalia gets evicted from the apartment she's in for, I think, smearing poo or something on the walls. I don't know, actually. I might be making that up. But she gets evicted for something, and they get her another apartment, and they prepay her rent and the whole thing. And the Christine in interviews was saying, she's like, I did what I would do. I did what I'm gonna do for all my kids. She was an adult, so I told her I'm giving her one more year of financial, where I'm going to take care of her financially. We got her an apartment. She's on food stamps and SSI. What am I supposed to do? She's an adult. I'm being charged for child abuse, but there's no child. This is an adult woman. And also one of the doctors during that whole mental institution times noted that she was like, this is an adult woman, and I think she's making a career out of acting like a child and going from family to family. And then all of a sudden it starts to click, like that other family put her up for adoption for unknown reasons, and then this Florida company called us out of the blue, like all of that, like you only have 24 hours and she's perfect for you. All of that started to seem like, okay. And so they get her another apartment after she got evicted, and then they said, okay, you're set up, we're moving to Canada. And that was still Um, that was still, when was that? I think that was pretty early still. So they moved to Canada in 2013. And and then so it's just is like fine for years. And then in 2016, another couple, like a Christian, another couple trying to do the right thing, tries to adopt her, and they like intervene, being like, she's not a kid, don't believe her, she's got a bush, she's an adult. It was like official in court, this is an adult, don't do it. And that family just bailed. They were like, all right, see you later. And then so they're still in Canada, and then they lose contact with her. And when she was released from the mental hospital, in the release, she was like, I don't want any part of the Barnetts anymore. So she said that, but they're still trying to help this little thing. And so they don't know what's going on. And at some point, Christine like goes back to the apartment, or I don't know where she found it, but she found a small child's pink dress, and they were like, oh no, she's doing it again. She's found another family. And then so like years have gone by. She's lived on her own. She's like going to other families. She at one point was trying to get her GED. And then all of a sudden this year in 2019, they get slapped with these real serious charges of neglecting a dependent. And the big crux of them is it really doesn't matter how old she is, I guess. You can't just bail on a dependent if they have a mental illness or physical disability. And so they're facing jail time over this little troll woman. And it's obvious to me Natalia needs to be in a mental institution. And all these families that have tried to help her should just be able to live their life, in my opinion. And but I was thinking, it's like a mental institution's pretty boring. The food, is, probably kind of sucks, and you're just in there with a bunch of other crazies. And if she gets adopted by a family and they think she's young, like when the Barnetts, the first adopter, they immediately went and got ice cream, and then they went to the beach, and then went to Disneyland, and then they're making spaghetti as a family, and then they're like, okay, she's got a bush. All right, that's all right. We're in Disneyland. Yay. And so I think it's a lot more, she's just like showered with attention and love, and then it's like she's like a little parasite where she just drowns you of your family, and she's violent. And multiple doctors and families have been like, she's a psychopath or a socio, and just a violent, psychotic adult dwarf posing as a child to unsuspecting nice families. And right now, I think that she's either missing or she's with like another family right now. I didn't have the energy to start a new family, so. But what a nightmare for the Barnetts. They're divorced. I'm sure that was a big part of them getting divorced, was just their daughter, Natalia. Hey, Ma. I think they caught her smoking cigarettes once in the bathroom. Like, what are you looking at, bitch? Just with her bush. But anywho, kind of a crazy one, right? But I think I'm going to cut it off there, people. I hope you're having a good day. I really do. I'll see you next time. Why stop?